They picked on Dr. Jeffries for calling them ice people, and they finally admitted that early man was black. And then the anthropologist said humanity began here, and then the geneticists and the biologists, see, they all competed. So the geneticists and the biologists got into it, and they got this fossil, and they traced every single human being in the world back 200, 250,000 years, and if you know they admit to that, it probably is twice as long, back to here. So our problem today is to figure out, when they tell us Columbus discovered America, Columbus discovered America. Well, when Columbus discovered America, there were 80 million people or 210 million people here to welcome his discovery. I just cut it off. Don't break up my ancestors. Don't break. Now, what they have said is humanity begins here, right? Now, this is the equatorial belt. I just love having brown-skinned men waiting. 'Humanity begins here. 5 billion people in the world, all their genetic breakdown, and only can be traced through the women's system. Right. Brothers are just contributory, but sisters are necessary. You can only trace humanity through the outer shell of the DNA, you know, and they've done this, and everybody traces back here. And what we want to do is get to my ancestors. That's what we want to do, and we want to show their Africanness. Now, I'm going to give you the divergent stories that they give you, and I'm going to show you how Europeans lie, and I'm going to use their I'm going to use their works to show their lie. Okay? Original man was a short, black, long arm, and 6 feet arm, big butt, thick lips, thick nose, nappy hair. That's the original human being 200,000 years ago. That's the original human being. Either the bushman who is brown or the quote-unquote pygmy who is black. That's the original human being. He starts off with strong muscles and strong bones and nice wide nose to displace heat and nappy hair to absorb the sun. Okay, and he starts off in the equatorial belt. And then, being a typical brother, he has to go roaming. And the sucker roams up here and gets lost. Of course, he takes some babes with him. And he gets up here, and you know how when you come to Newark and stuff, if you've never been over here, it's hard to get over here. And you finally get here, but you don't know how to get home. That's right. So he got up here in this cold area. He went all past this nice Garden of Eden that the Creator, who was never created for him, where the bananas and the mangoes and the coconuts fell right off the tree and the fish came right off the shore, and you didn't have to kill anybody to survive. You just didn't have to wear clothes because you're on the equator, and you were in the Garden of Eden, all around the equatorial belt. You got pineapples and olives and figs and, you know, all around the equatorial belt where white folks go for tourism now, because they've discovered it's a hip place to be. Now that they're taking us out of there, they want to buy it all up. My husband's Jamaican, see. Okay? So he travels up here, gets stuck up here. Now, some of the hip brothers said, I ain't going. Some stayed here. Some got up here. And they got stuck up there for 100,000 years. 100,000. You go sit on the ice for an hour and see what it's like. They got stuck up there for 100,000 100,000 years, I call myself organized and stuff, but I'm the most disorganized person in the world. Okay. 100,000 years. And in that process of sitting on the ice for 100,000 years, he lost his skin, right? Because, you know, he had to go in the cave, and there was no sunshine. So he lost his pigmentation, he lost the coloring of his eyes, his hair went straightened all out, his behind squished up. There ain't nobody. You know there ain't nobody. You don't believe me, go outside there and look. His body got long because his legs stopped growing long because he needed to absorb heat. So he's mostly body. He's a phenotype. You can always tell an African, if you don't think he's an African, tell him turn around and look at, you know. Then you know he's African, right? We have phenotypes. It's not all pigmentation. We had African people. And so Diop says, Sheikh Ata Diop in Civilization and Barbarism, says he turned white. He was a leukoderm, L-E-U-K-O-D-E-R-M. A leukoderm, you know, like leukocytes, you know, like when you go to the doctor and they tell you have leukemia or whatever, it means that the white cells are eating up the red cells, right? Leukoderm. Now these leukoderms, after 100,000 years, you start getting a warming of the worm, W-U-R-M, with the diuresis over the U, I don't know why. Worm, you know, whatever German word. And he begins to come back down, he and she. And they come out the cage and they come down and they mix. And they mix. And the ones who mix mostly with African, original African, they become the sub-Asians. They're dark brown, but they still have the straight hair, but they have the big butts. They're a little wider, but they're thick. And then the others who have mostly leukoderms become Asian trifling. Right? They get slanty eyes. Right? We have the 4 races of the world, right? And now we've had the 4 races of the world. You can read the office in the 2nd chapter. It's very difficult, but that's essentially what he said. Now, and they fool around and all that, and they decide to roam because, you know, brothers like to roam. So this is what Europeans say. They say that they went all the way up here. These original African people went up here, turned white, came back mixed, turned brown and yellow, and the yellow people came up here in here. And now what they tell you across the Bering Strait, and every single person, all 80 million or 210 million that Columbus discovered, came through this little thing 12,000 years ago. You know, I never believed that story anyway, because you know, when you're a child, you say to yourself, now, this is weird, because everybody along this equatorial belt looks alike. They're all little, short, black, nappy-haired, thick-haired, big-butt people. You know, all the way, you know that, you go all across to Indonesia, Australia, and stuff like that. So how did they get there? They went up here and came down here. That don't make sense, does it? You know, in the first place, we know when we leave here today, we ain't all going to go one way. We're going to go in a different way. So I said, well, you know, why didn't he just, maybe he did go that way and come down this way, but did he go this way too? They said, oh, yes, well, he went this way. They'll say, well, he went this way and came down here, or they'll even say he went this way and went across here. And I have 5 degrees. For high school dropout, I got a little carried away. I have 5 degrees, and one is in philosophy. And you study all this, the development of man. And you say, I said, you're telling me that man started here, and he went across here, but he didn't go across here? Or he said, oh, well, then there's another theory that if he didn't come down here, he went across here. And you say to yourself, well, why don't you just... You know, then you have to say to yourself, why they picking the longest route? Because Columbus discovered America. And once you have made that lie the dogma, the canon, then you go about and develop crap that you teach people. And that's what it is. It's just pure crap. It just doesn't hold up in any kind of logic. And let me show you. There's no fossil evidence up here that's older than the fossil evidence down here. They have evidence down here 47,000 years old. And up here, at best, is 28,000. So now you want me to believe